Hello everyone, my name is Simo and welcome to my humble home studio. Today I would like to talk to you a little bit about this. This is the MPG-8. It's made by a company called Retroaktiv and it is designed to be the programmer box for a couple of Roland synths, the JX-8P, JX-10, also known as the Super JX, and the rack equivalents of those. Now, as you can see, it is quite a bit smaller than the original Roland, the original PG-800 that was shipped at the time. And it is priced about the same as you would have to fork out cash for these old ones today. These go, as far as I know, about $300, maybe $300-400. And this is priced about $350-370. The MPG-8 is designed to be functionally the same as the original PG-800. So it has all the same parameters as the original, comes with its own cable and plugs into the same socket as the PG-800 does behind the synth. In addition to that, the MPG-8 actually has a couple more tricks up its sleeve compared to the original. So it has 3 pre-programmed sounds in it that you can send to the synth by a press of a button, and that can be a starting point for creating a new sound. You can also send a randomized sound to the synth, and basically it's the same thing, use that as a starting point. And also you can use this with an upgraded JX-10 with Frederick Verkoven firmware, and also the PWM kit with the pulse width modulation extras. So this one has the parameters to control the pulse width modulation mode as well.
A couple of practical matters to get out of the way. As you can see, the PG-800 has a magnet on the bottom, so when you set it down, it sticks down. And it takes a little bit of effort actually to pull it up from a metal surface like this. But as for the MPG-8, it doesn't have a magnet. Instead, it has these rubber pads or rubber feet. And they do have a good bit of friction to them, but when you set it down, it might move around a little bit. Now, this is not a huge problem, but it's something to keep in mind. When it comes to the placement of these programmers, you can see the PG-800 traditionally sits on the right-hand side and sticks to the synth surface there. Now, there is a problem if you try to put the MPG-8 on the same spot, because the cable, as you can see, kind of sticks out on top of the number pad there. So maybe the idea is to put it somewhere around here so the cable is not in the way, but then you would have to operate it using your left hand, and that might take some getting used to. Overall, it's not a huge deal. I kind of prefer having the programmer on the right hand side because I'm right-handed, so I like using the programmer with my good hand. But I guess it goes as a minor point of criticism to the design of the unit. So here we are, all plugged in, ready to play. So first, let's take a look at the randomizer function. It's this button here. When you press it and hold it, you can send a randomized set of parameters to the synth. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get weird stuff like this, I guess. This is not really useful. But you can always try again and see what happens. Now you can also use this button to toggle between the set of parameters for the pulse width modulation stuff that you can install as a mod for this synth. If you don't have that installed, then just a single click of the button doesn't do anything. You have to press and hold it to do the randomizer thing. But there we go, we have randomized the patch, and now you can just start to program it like usual. There's really not much to say about turning the knobs, it really works as you expect it to. You turn a knob and stuff happens. So let's just focus on these functions that are not present in the PG-800. So you can keep randomizing and fishing for something that strikes your fancy that you want to start developing further. This is pretty much a ready sound, so sometimes you get lucky, like I said, and sometimes it just sounds horrible. Now, the second function here, as you can see, press and hold the button, you see a one blink of the red LED there, and that sends one of the preset sounds to the synth. You hold it, you get 2 blinks, and you get the second sound. And you press and hold again, wait for 3 blinks, 1, 2, 3. And then that's the third preset sound in the MPG-8. This is supposed to be a pulse width mod sound that is, of course, not present in this version of the synth. I don't have that mod installed myself, so I guess it doesn't sound as accurate. But here we go, randomize another patch, and we already have something usable for a song somewhere, I'm sure. Sounds very 80s, sounds very nice. And then of course there's manual operation. This is also a function in the PG-800. You press the button and then the unit sends the parameters as they are set on the front panel here. And then you can go on tweaking from there. There's something to be said about the size of these little knobs here. I find them a little awkwardly small for myself. And it takes a bit of getting used to be able to use this without looking, because I've had this for a couple of months, I'm sure, and I still have to look at it a lot when I'm programming a sound. Something about this layout isn't as easy to understand as the PG-800. It could also be because these are all little knobs and the PG-800 also has some sliders. So I guess that helps to break up the user interface and makes it easier to remember what's what. But here you kind of have to take it slow at first anyway. But really it does the business, and it's a pretty good programmer once you get to know the ins and outs of it.
So, what is the verdict for the MPG-8? Should you have one? I think if you don't have a PG-800 already, the MPG-8 is a very good choice for these synthesizers. It is newer, it feels solid, the build quality is good, and hopefully it will last for a long time and keep these synths going for a couple more decades. There are these couple of points of criticism, the placement of the cable on the side, which is maybe a little bit awkward, but you can work around that. And also the tiny little knobs that, at least for my fingers, take a little bit of getting used to. And the layout also isn't as intuitive maybe as the PG-800, but you get around to it after a while of using it. Overall, I think it's a solid choice and good on Retroaktiv for putting this out there and allowing us to enjoy these wonderful synthesizers for decades more to come. That is all from me for today. Thank you for watching and keep the 80s alive. Goodbye.